F123 My Team Career Mode Season 4, Round number 5, the Spanish Grand Prix. We're back once again, this time back in Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 4. So let's see what we can do here. First of all, of course, starting off with our kind of activities. Yeah, we just kind of skip through this, to be honest. Nothing particularly exciting going on here. Some upgrades to go on the car, so we're going to redo that upgrade, which I think failed last time. Oh no, sorry, those are not ones that failed. Those are ones that I was going to try and rush them to see if I could get the upgrades to come through before this race. Also put a chassis upgrade on there, and we're going to upgrade our pit equipment to the full potential as well on the facility upgrade. Unfortunately, those two powertrain upgrades, neither of them actually succeeded. They both failed, so we're going to have to put them on. They're not going to come through until Canada now. It was at least worth a try to see what we could do there. Looking at R&D though, we're still sitting second. We are moving away a little bit from the cars behind, and actually getting quite a bit closer to Aston Martin. They've plateaued over the last 3 races or so, and yeah, we're catching up to them along with the other teams behind, so we're looking pretty good on paper here going into Spain. And as we go into Q1, a lot of cars there on the right hand side. See if we can get through to Q3 this time, because remember, last time out in, where was the last race? Imola, wasn't it? I didn't manage to get through to Q3 as we very quickly get past, I think that was a Williams, maybe Logan Sargent there in the Williams, who we just have to duck past. So a little bit of traffic on this lap in Q1, but doesn't matter, we're going to be quick enough. We're quite a lot quicker than those back few cars, so no issue getting out of Q1, and in fact we actually end up going quickest in the end, even with those little bits of traffic, and it's a 1-2 actually in Q1 here with myself and Albon. Kind of just the usual suspects out in Q1, both AlphaTauris, and then I think it was one Williams, which Williams a little bit disappointing. They've been doing a bit better, but one Williams out, one Haas, one Alfa Romeo, and I believe one Alpine as well. Still, just like in real life in 2024, not having a very good time this season. They are way down the bottom of the R&D. Yeah, it's not what they would have been hoping for, especially, you know, they have had some pretty good moments here and there, you know, a few podiums a couple of seasons back, but pretty dismal start to this season here as we finish our Q2 lap. P3 at that point there. Ends up only being P9 though in the end, so we do thankfully manage to get through to Q3 this time around, but only just pretty close there. Max Verstappen, probably the biggest shock here, out in Q2, the driver who was actually fighting for the win here with Charles Leclerc last season. I can't remember, I think it was last season, wasn't it? Yeah, when we raced here, or maybe the season before. Yeah, out in Q2, so very big shock there for Verstappen, but you know, it's got to be one of these cars in like this top few. There's always going to be 1 or 2 out. De Vries is kind of always, very often, one of the ones that goes out. But yeah, quite shocking for it to be Verstappen, the next one out. So now in Q3 here, trying to put our time down. Currently P10 because, well, we haven't really set a proper time yet. Pretty sure I've only set a time on a used set of tyres, although not a whole lot of tyre wear on this track, to be honest. So that time itself was actually a pretty good time, and from what I remember, was actually possibly quicker than what I did in Q2. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's difficult to see because I've got a very small preview window that I'm watching this on right now to record the audio, but yeah, from what I remember, it was actually an okay time, and we are up on our time here. It doesn't look like we're up by a lot, not even a 10th by that, I don't think, so it's not going to be a massive improvement here. And as we cross the line, I don't think we're really going to improve. No, we're not. It's only P9 for us, and the only reason for that really is because Hamilton didn't come out for a second lap, must have had an issue with his car, so Hamilton's P10, we just about beat him for P9, but our teammates up there in P3, Charles Leclerc, another pole position for him, first of this season, up there in P1, and Piastri in the McLaren P2, so very interesting. Russell's all the way down in P4 in the Aston Martin. Let's see how this race goes.
So many eventful races here in Barcelona over the years. Do you remember Max Verstappen's first win on debut for Red Bull here in 2016? 2 years before, we had the dramatic coming together of Hamilton and Rosberg going towards turn 4. There's always a treat in store as we head back to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and the popular opinion in the paddock is that we never wanted the chicane in the first place. That's now been gone, the final corner is much faster, and at 2.9 miles and 14 turns, we await the Spanish Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Russell, Norris, Sainz, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Davies, Hamilton, Verstappen, De Vries, Liam Lawson, Drugovich, Gasly, Joe, Doohan, Ocon, Bottas, Stroll, Magnussen and Logan Sargent. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Natalie Pinkham, good to have you with us here today. Your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to staying dry here in the commentary box. Thank goodness. The rain, though, does add an extra level of spice, doesn't it?
Alright, so this is an interesting one because it is raining here in Spain. We've got back-to-back wet races, not quite as wet as it was in Imola. We're only on intermediate tyres here, but the forecast says it's going to pretty much be raining for the entire race. So this could be interesting here. I haven't really done anything with my setup at all, just kept a dry setup because I figured the rain's not going to be that heavy. Intermediate conditions usually doesn't have the biggest effect with, you know, the setup and stuff. So we're going to see how we go here, trying to get past Tsunoda through the first couple of corners. We were alongside him, but unfortunately can't quite make a move. And now we've actually got Hamilton looking up the inside of us into the next corner. There he is on the inside, but we're just going to carry the speed around the outside and stay ahead of him, stay here in P9. But unfortunately, we haven't made any positions through the first couple of corners. We were quite a bit quicker than, I think it was Iwasa in the Aston Martin ahead of us, who didn't have the quickest start, but unfortunately I just didn't really have anywhere to go. So I had to back off, turn off the ERS and just kind of sit behind him, and yeah, that did end up compromising us a little bit as we're just carrying on here, trying to stay with the cars ahead, trying to keep ahead of Hamilton and Verstappen, the two cars behind me, as we head down into this next corner. Struggling a little bit with understeer here, I'm going to be honest. I think I should have maybe gone for a little bit more front wing angle on the car at least, because yeah, like I said, this is a completely dry setup, because I didn't, you know, I don't seem to be the best with wet setups in this game. I tend to do quite well sometimes with just a dry setup in the wet, and I thought, especially since it's not going to be that wet, we're just going to try it. Heading down into turn 1, and Hamilton's having a look, so he's actually got a bit more straight line speed than us there as well, or maybe just got a better run off the final corner, but we do manage to stay ahead of him. This is another a bit of a replay of the start of this race. As you can see, 3 wide going into turn 1. Leclerc did not have a very good start from pole position, and it's actually Piastri who's managed to get into the lead at the start of this race, followed by my teammate Albon in second, and then Hamilton in, Leclerc in third, who really has not had a good start. And it's gonna start getting worse for him, as now he's got George Russell as they head onto lap 2, going for a move round the outside. The driver who's won every race so far this season is now up into a podium position. It is the first time since Bahrain he hasn't been on pole, and Bahrain was his teammate on pole, so the first non-Aston Martin pole here in Spain. And yeah, the other Ferrari also having some issues here, getting attacked by Ayumu Iwasa in that Aston Martin. And yeah, Ferrari's seeming to go backwards a little bit here. Not a great start for either of them. Tsunoda's trying to hang on to that position though, but in the end cannot do it. Iwasa will come out the top Japanese driver in this battle, but we'll have to wait and see how this transpires later on. We continue on here, and yeah, quite a bit of pressure actually from Hamilton behind. You can see now he's pulled to the left, but we are absolutely draining our ERS battery as much as we can down into turn 1 just to stay ahead. So having a little bit of trouble at the start of this race, just not quite got the grip that I was hoping for. And yeah, don't seem to be quite having the speed down the straights either. As the battle with Charles Leclerc continues, who is really falling down the order. I don't know if he's got an issue with his car because, yeah, he didn't have a very good launch off the line, dropped down to 3rd going into turn 1, has now dropped to 4th behind Russell, and now Carlos Sainz, the home driver, of course, Spanish driver, now in the Red Bull this season. I think he was there last season and maybe even the season before that as well. He's been in that Red Bull for at least 2 seasons now. Is now trying to get past his old teammate at Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, and it's a fairly well-fought battle, but Sainz does get past Leclerc and up into P4 in the end, so things really going backwards for the Monegasque pole driver. The Monegasque driver who was on pole, should I say, as we go for a big dive on the other Ferrari of Yuki Tsunoda into that corner. Was not expecting to go for a move there, just a little bit later on the brakes than him, and yeah, kind of just opened up the track for us. So we've actually gotten up a position there, just kind of accidentally, but hey, I will take it. Leclerc still coming under fire from cars. That is now Lando Norris in the other McLaren, who's a bit further back from his teammate today. We've actually seen Oscar Piastri really step up this season. I mean, he's had a good time last few seasons, but yeah, really taking charge of that McLaren team so far this season. As Iwasa now fighting with Leclerc, so the other Aston Martin has now also caught up to Charles Leclerc, who is just absolutely falling down the order. He's plummeting like a stone at the moment. Don't know what's going on for that poor driver, because we are now on the back of him as well. Leclerc in 10 laps has gone from P1 to P9, and we're going to now try and overtake him for that P9 position. And this is why I think he's got an issue, because I just got so much better grip and so much better speed off that corner. Went for a move there where I wouldn't normally go for a move, but I've made it work. I've got the position, and we're now up into, sorry, P7, yeah, on lap 10. I was getting the laps and the positions a little bit mixed up there. As now we have Alex Albon, who is having a look at Piastri, but Russell is now right behind him, and as they go into this next corner, Albon locks up into the corner, and that lets Russell past, and now Albon is down to P3. George Russell, the winner of the last 4 races this season, all 4 races so far this season, is now up into P2 and will try and chase after Piastri. But looks like it's a bit of a strategy difference for Albon and Russell as they both come into the pits the end of lap 11. So this is quite early to go on to, you know, you'd expect for a race that's probably going to be just intermediate tyres all the way through. They go about halfway through the race. They're going quite a bit earlier than that, so either they're doing a pretty weird one-stop, or maybe they're doing a 2-stop intermediate strategy, or maybe they are expecting dry weather at the end of the race. I don't know what's going on there, but that could be an interesting point going on there as we go past, I think, Liam Lawson in the Haas, who unfortunately has had a mechanical failure and is out of this race. Still a battle going on for a position. This is Carlos Sainz once again, who's now been caught by another one of his old teammates, Lando Norris, in the McLaren, who's made easy work of the Spaniard there because he just locked up a little bit going into turn 1. So that's pretty frustrating for Sainz there, trying to go for a podium in his home Grand Prix. Would be big for him, that's for sure. As we head into the pits on lap 16, pretty much the halfway point in this race. This is where I expected most people to come into the pits. You can see there is a McLaren ahead of us in the pits. I'm not sure which McLaren that is. I'm going to say it's probably Norris, because I think Piastri's quite a bit further ahead of us. Sure enough, yeah, there he is. There's Norris going past. We are behind him. So yeah, really don't know what Russell and Albon are doing. Completely different strategy to us, that's for sure. We'll see if that works out for them. I come out of the pit P10. Drogovic, the car ahead of us in the Williams, he hasn't come into the pit yet, so he's rather slow on those worn intermediate, sorry. And of course, just being a much slower car, we're going to do the same move that we did on Leclerc. So 2 moves there, not the place you usually see moves on this track, but we made it work. As now the 2 Ferraris find themselves with each other. Leclerc trying to get past Tsunoda, so Leclerc's had a terrible start to this race. But now looks like maybe his car's starting to get a little bit better because he's now fighting his teammate down into turn 1. They're going side by side. This is probably a bit tense for Ferrari. But in the end, Leclerc does get past his teammate and up another position, as Tsunoda now seems to be the one struggling. What is going on with Ferrari this race? As now, yeah, Tsunoda is being caught by Max Verstappen, who's going for a move here. Like I said earlier, Verstappen did not make it into Q3, so very disappointing for him, especially when his teammates up fighting, kind of fighting at the moment for like P4, I think, at the moment, with Lando Norris. So we'll have to see how that all goes. There's a caution ahead of us, though. What's going on here? Yellow flags up ahead, and that is George Russell. George Russell is pulled to the side of the road. What has gone on there? His chances of a win gone for this race. His streak may be over. As we look here, looks like he's got a flat tire. Rear right tire has gone flat, and he's just completely not had the brakes with that flat tire to stop and to turn into that corner. And he's just gone off into the gravel. Here we have a bit of a view from the rear. You can see just about as he goes on the brakes, he runs over some debris or something and has a flat tire and has a puncture, and he's actually disqualified from the race with that because he sat there on the outside of the track. So Russell will not be making it 5 wins in a row. Somebody else will be winning this race, which will be the first well, it'll be the first not George Russell win of the season, maybe the first non-Aston Martin win of the season if Iwasa doesn't manage to win this race. Currently, this is another battle going on with my teammate Alexander Albon on this slightly different strategy, like I was saying. He's now just gotten past Sainz and is going to continue up the road. He's now also caught up to the back of, I believe, Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and he's going to make that move pretty easily as well down the main straight. Not really much to say there. Leclerc is going to try and fight it a little bit here, though, just to try and slow him up as much as he can. Actually, he puts up a pretty good fight there through turn 1, turn 2, but Albon will get up ahead of him and now, I guess, be chasing down Piastri because Albon's now the only one of these top drivers on this weird strategy. A bit further back, and Tsunoda's now being attacked by Hamilton, so really going backwards for Ferrari in general, but mainly for Leclerc at this point in time. Looks like Leclerc just about defended there, but Hamilton kept his foot in. Very good driving from the 8-time world champion, of course, in this career mode. He is defending the title that he won last season, and they're still side by side. And actually, no, Tsunoda manages to stay ahead of Hamilton, so great work from him there to stay ahead. We continue on lap number 20, is that 29, I believe, something like that. And now we're actually going to let Albon pass because Albon's now caught up to us. I think he's been into the pits for a second time, so he has done a 2-stop strategy, which is strange. It's strange, but it's kind of worked because we've let him pass because I know he's much quicker than us on this strategy. We're going to let him go ahead and see if he can catch anyone else. And sure enough, Carlos Sainz, he's currently sitting P3, so was looking to get a podium in his home Grand Prix here, but I think my teammate is going to spoil the party here on lap 31 of 33. Albon dives down the inside. Sainz is going to try and hold this, so this would be a big moment for him to be on the podium here, but unfortunately for him, Albon gets past up into P3, so Albon potentially going to get his first podium for our team here. But the man of the hour is Oscar Piastri. He got a podium in the last race at Imola, and he's going to come around the final corner here in Spain to win the Spanish Grand Prix. It is the first non-Aston Martin and the first non-George Russell win of Season 4. Oscar Piastri wins the Spanish Grand Prix. What a result from him. And although Albon is bearing down on Lando Norris in second place, he's not going to be able to quite get him in time. So it's going to be a McLaren 1-2. What a result for McLaren in this race here when Aston Martin have really dropped the ball. We're going to come home P5, I believe. P5 in the end. Couldn't quite catch Sainz, so he at least still gets a P4 finish. P5 for us. But it's good to have one of our cars on the podium, and I'm sure it's good for McLaren to get a 1-2 here.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I love it when you go into a race day with no data from the weekend to fall back on. It's a real step into the unknown. Planning goes entirely out of the window.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt, they'll be celebrating tonight.
What a race for McLaren here. What a race for Oscar Piastri. A win for him, a podium, first podium of the season for Lando Norris. Definitely playing second fiddle to his teammate at the moment, who, you know, Norris has only got one podium this season. Piastri now has, well, a podium and a win. So technically 2 podiums, I guess. So yeah, what a result for him. And yeah, Alex Albon getting his first podium for our team. So that means that we now have 1 apiece this season. So that's good to see. And of course, it's his first podium since, I don't know when he was back in Red Bull, I guess. So awesome to see him. You know, he was looking at a really good result and probably a podium last time in Imola, but had a car problem. So potentially a win in Imola, to be honest. So unfortunate there, but he has made up for it here with that P3. And yeah, P5 for us, it's a good haul of points for our team. Sainz doing a great job there in the Red Bull. Verstappen does manage to seal P8 in the end, so actually a pretty good result from him. And Leclerc P7, which is better than where he was looking about halfway through this race, but from starting on pole position, definitely not what he would have been hoping for. Drivers' Championship, well, Russell does take a bit of a knock here, of course not scoring any points, but he still has a fairly considerable lead at the top of the championship. Iwasa also re-overtakes Hamilton for second place. Neither of those guys scoring many points, but Hamilton only scored 1. I think Iwasa came like 6th or 8th or something, so definitely more points for him there. And then in the Drivers' Championship, not sure how this was all jigged around before because it is all very, very close. Still Aston Martin at the top, of course, a fair way ahead. McLaren in second, and we are there in third, but it is really close all the way back. Mercedes, Red Bull, and Alpine, super close. Back from Aston Martin pretty much. It's really anyone's game, and it is still early in the season. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.